Hello, my spooky friends. This is John, your host of Dairyland Frights in the spookier podcast, Nightland Frights. And I wanted to thank all my spooky friends out there for listening. I truly appreciate it. Please like and subscribe and rate us 5 stars. It helps you make this a better podcast. And make sure you comment what guests you would like me to have on, what topics you would like me to talk about. It's only going to make this podcast better. So again, thank you so much for listening, and please go to my Patreon, check that out, become a Parascani for only $3, a spooky friend for $1. And remember, stay spooky. I'm John, and your host of Dairyland Frights, and welcome to another episode, the Paranormal Podcast. Dairyland Frights covers everything spooky, creepy, and mysterious in the Midwest. And the great spooky guests continue. On the podcast today, I have Jen and Courtney from Paranormal Coffee Hour podcast. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So glad to have you on. Now, Jen, one of the things she does too is she is a psychic and a medium.
Mhm.
And one of the things before we talk to you, Courtney, I kind of want to talk to you, Jen, because we were talking offline, and I love all the stuff that mediums and psychics do because I've talked to a couple, and just love some of the things that you help people with, because I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Jen, but I think sometimes a medium or a psychic might get a bad name. Like they're, the person in the room with the little crystal ball. Oh, I know it's corny and everything, but, it does happen like that. So what makes you different, Jen? What do you do a little different for your client?
So I think what surprises most people when they come to someone like me is I have a very professional background. I have a master's degree. I used to be a teacher. I was a financial advisor. I still work in the financial world. I did do my business of being a psychic medium full time, and then I brought it back down to part time because I wanted to be more than that. So it surprises people because they assume we are out to try and I'm trying to think of the word here. Like we're charlatans, like we're trying to get people's money.
Con.
Swindle.
Yeah, swindle. Very good, Courtney.
So they often don't see someone like me as having been somebody who's a professional in other areas of their life. So that's one of the big things. The other big thing that people always are surprised about is I trained as a medium, and I continue to train as a medium. I go to one of the most prestigious schools in the whole world, which is Arthur Findlay College in England.
Sure.
And take courses and classes on how to improve my mediumship. So I take it seriously. And that comes through when I do readings for people. Yeah,
that's amazing. And it's nothing like Harry Potter, Hogwarts. You don't have people flying in and be like, woo! It's nothing like that, right?
I'm laughing because you literally, J.K. Rowling used that school as her inspiration for Hogwarts.
That's awesome.
But no, it isn't like that.
No,
it was super disappointing not to have the sorting hat, the robes, or the wands.
Yeah, you and Courtney could put on the sorting hat. You're going to Fufferfuffs or whatever the heck it is. I don't know. I haven't read the books in a long time. I used to watch watch it with my kids, so I haven't seen it. And I think another thing I was reading off your biography, which I thought was interesting. So you also do cleansing, and I know that's a big thing that from time to time people will talk about. Maybe they feel the spirits in their home, or maybe they think negative energies in their home. Talk a little bit about that. How do you go about cleansing someone's home?
So cleansing is a process,
I should say. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a process, and it takes a lot of time and a lot of energy. People assume that when we cleanse, we just wave some sage around and we're good. And that's really not what it is. I walk through a home, let's say, and I ask for the homeowner not to tell me anything about the home. I just walk through it and I take
Mm,
notes as I walk through and take down any impressions that I get of energy that I'm picking up or,
mhm.
feelings that are coming through. And then I sit down with the homeowner and I talk to them about what I pick up. And it is always a ton of fun to watch their face when I pick up on the things
Yes.
that are happening to them. And they're like, how do
Yeah.
you know this? I'm like, that's what I do.
Yeah, right. Right.
um, but I do it remotely. So
Oh,
I've done a house cleansing for somebody in Germany and someone in
wow.
San Francisco. So
Wow.
yeah, and it's possible. It made me think
So,
outside the box because at first I thought, I don't know how the heck you would do
yeah,
this.
that's what I'm going to say. How do you do that? Do you direct the person, Jen? Do you be like, okay, take the sage and what, you know what I'm saying?
Some of it's directive, some of it isn't. Some of it
Hmm.
is using the energy I have, using my ability to be what is known as a remote viewer to
Oh,
help move that energy through. I'm not level like Project Stargate remote viewer.
okay.
That's
All right. All right.
amazing level.
Yeah, that's top shelf
Yeah,
stuff, right?
but it it's possible. And yes, the
Okay.
homeowner in a remote cleansing would have to do some work to help me out. But I don't use sage, honestly, mostly because I really
Oh,
don't care for the smell of it.
okay.
So I use mugwort and a mix of other herbs, and
Mm,
the mix changes depending on what the house needs. And that's only one of the things I do. There's a lot of other
mm.
things that are involved in it, and every house is different.
Yeah, yeah. Jen, I'm going to take a pause on you. Courtney, why don't you talk a little bit about yourself and what interested you in the paranormal?
Well, I've always been interested in the paranormal.
Okay.
I dabbled in it a little bit here and there. But then back in 2019, my parents' house blew up. My dad died.
Wow.
And then almost a year later, so I already knew Jen. We weren't really friends at that time, more acquaintances. And I
Okay.
received a message from Jen.
Hmm.
And
Okay.
it was like, you're not going to believe this, but your dad has a message for you.
Oh, wow.
Okay. And she's like, and he needs me to tell you this. I was like, okay. I looked at my then husband at the time, and I was like, that's interesting.
Yeah,
I
right.
kind of giggle. I was like, but I need to hear this.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I need to bring my sister along with this, but she's like, that's fine. And
Yeah.
that kind of is how the snowball effect started, and how Jen and
Wow.
I are now where we're at,
I
and how my
love that.
paranormal has gotten even stronger.
Yeah.
I love that, Courtney. Thank you for sharing that. I know that must be hard for you dealing with something like a tragic experience like that, but I'm not trying to joke or anything. Jen, did you send it by owl? Did you put it on an
No,
owl? An
I
owl
sent it
just
by
I'm
Facebook
sorry, I gotta do the Harry
Messenger.
Potter stuff. You guys got me on Harry Potter. I'm
No,
sorry. Sorry, I don't mean to make fun of it, Courtney. I didn't mean that.
So that's
I
the other
wish.
funny thing. I don't do Harry Potter.
You're probably, what is he talking about?
I get some
Owls?
of the references, but these guys
All
are
right.
like, we have to watch Harry Potter.
Yeah,
I can't.
come on. The first one's really good, Courtney. Sit down. Come on. Get a drink of wine, some coffee, whatever you want. All
Yes.
right. We'll have a viewing party, Jen. Come on. We'll have a viewing party with
We
Courtney.
tried.
All
We're
right.
leaving drinks. I
All
couldn't.
right. All right. That's a challenge, Courtney. That's a
No.
challenge. I've been
All
challenged.
right, we'll try again.
Let's try
Maybe
again.
stronger drinks.
Stronger drinks. Then you just make up your own Harry Potter. Woo! Look at that. What's going on? But that is amazing, Jen. Did you see that in a vision? Did you see it in a dream? Did it just come to you? I mean, how did you? Not the owl thing. I mean, the house and everything.
So Courtney is. I had met Courtney because I am a paranormal investigator also,
Oh, sure.
and I met her on doing an investigation for someone she knows that she had been there for. So I'm in my home doing the dishes by hand. And suddenly I hear this man start talking to me about his daughter, Courtney, and he needs to get a message. And I'm going, hell no. Because I wasn't a medium. Like, I wasn't a practicing medium at that time. And I just thought, she's going to think I'm batshit crazy. Sorry if I can't swear. You got to let me know.
No, you can swear. You guys can swear, whatever. Do whatever you want.
I'm like, I don't, honestly, her dad had come to me prior, not long after his passing, when I went past the property where it happened, because I don't live far from it. And he was talking to me then, and I'm like, look, no. And then literally almost a year later, he comes again, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm not going to get rid of him if I don't do something.
Yeah, right.
So
get rid of him. Why you not get rid of him?
I hear this message, and I'm just like, you're going to think I'm nuts, but I've got to do this.
Oh, wow.
And it was so weird because at the time, my sister and I were just planning a party for him. So he knew that.
Oh, yeah.
And so it was like, oh, okay.
He kept telling me that they're planning something. I need to talk to them because they're planning something. And I'm like, God.
Oh, wow. Jeez. That's incredible. That's like something out of a movie. That's like you're in your car, Jen, you're driving to work or whatever, and he's sitting right there. Jen, you're like, will you stop it? I got it.
The first time. He did that
in
the
your
first
car?
time, literally. Yeah.
In your car?
Into my car. Because their house was at an intersection with a stop sign, and I stopped and I'm looking, and I'm like, there's fencing all around this place. And I'm looking at it going, who the hell has the balls to walk in on this place, essentially like a crime scene?
Yeah.
And start walking around looking for stuff. And then he looked at me, and I was like, holy shit. And suddenly the guy was
wow.
And, I mean, this is something where people think this happens to us as mediums all the time. No, it does not.
Really?
Okay, at least not me.
Okay. All right.
So yeah.
I keep saying, stranger danger. Don't ours are strangers.
There you go.
Exactly.
I'm scared. I'm fearing your dad's going to show up and tell me something. Hey, what's going on? That's an amazing story. So, although Courtney, I don't mean to rehash this, but what did you do when Jen said, hey, I know it sounds batshit crazy. I don't know if you said batshit crazy, Jen, but this is batshit crazy. Courtney, I got to tell you this. What did you like?
I literally read it about 2 or 3 times. I looked at my then husband and I was like, the fuck?
Yeah, right. Yeah. So would I.
Like,
so would I.
Okay. All right. Okay. And then I was like, I messaged her. I said, well, can I bring my sister? She's like, yeah, that's fine. I was like,
no. Wow.
Cool. And it seriously has snowballed into us being.
That's amazing. And that was 4 years ago, 5 years ago. So,
4 years ago since we did it, but 5 since it actually happened.
That wow. That's amazing. That to me is, even though it's tragic, it's something that brings people together. And, you might have a kind of a chuckle over it. Or you might have, it's like one of those things where, yeah, that's what Dad would probably do. You know what I mean?
It was meant to be.
It was meant to be, right? Exactly. So that's great. I love that. That is a great story. It's one of my favorite stories. I'm definitely gonna feature this. So Courtney, getting back to you. Coming back to your paranormal. So now, let me guess. You're like, okay, I believe in the paranormal, right? Or do you think you're a skeptic still? Like, what do you think you are?
So I've always believed in the paranormal, but I am on the skeptical side. Like, I always am looking for the why, the how.
Sure.
If you listen to our podcast,
yes, I do.
We don't give you our opinions for the most part. It's, hey, what do you believe? We want to know what you believe. We try to give as many opinions out there without giving our true opinion as much as possible. I mean, there's some
Right.
that are kind of opinionated out.
Right.
Sorry.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. By the way, my two favorite ones, I didn't listen to them all. I'm just going to be honest with you, but I'm listening to them right now. And I got to tell you something about Ed Gein. I know you did that one. So you did Curse Dolls. I'm going to tell you, ladies, no Curse Dolls for John. Just get them out of my face. I do
I don't do
not
dolls
want
either.
them. No. I had a paranormal investigator. She collects them. And she was like, here, John, here, don't be scared of them. Here they are. And she showed me on camera. And I just was like this. I literally was like, no, put him down. Her name was Michelle. I said, Michelle, put him down. And she goes, is that really bothering you? And I'm like, yes, it is. I don't know what it is. I've done some episodes on asylums. So there's some famous asylums out there that you guys probably will cover down the road if you so choose. And one is in Indiana. And if you drive past this asylum in Indiana, it looks like a really nice house. Like it was somebody's really nice, but it's crazy. And inside the asylum, someone collected these dolls. And they have them still lined up in there. And people have said they've seen head moves, that like turning the head of the dolls, that the dolls have moved, that that if you've gotten near the dolls, you either feel really sick, or worse yet, if you take a picture of the doll, usually something goes wrong. Like, you'll be like, and I'm not talking about car crash or something terrible like that. I'm talking about like all of a sudden you get home and they're like something's not working. Like you try to download them into your computer or whatever off your phone, and it's just everything's just not working. And you're like, wait a minute. And then, you go back and try something else, and now they work, and they're like, wait a minute, So Curse Dolls, no, thank you. Keep them away from me, Jen.
I don't like them either.
Right?
Nope. I don't do dolls.
Especially the ones that they did with like the porcelain. My mom used to have some where I can't even describe it. It's the porcelain head, and it's kind of cracked, and it just looks like that doll's gonna stab me.
Jen, I don't know what's worse, the ones that are painted up that look real, or the one like the Amish dolls that have no face.
Oh,
like
that's the worst.
Both extreme to me.
That's the worst. Absolute worst. And I don't know if you know about, I'm eventually going to do a episode on this, and I would highly recommend, if you guys want to do this, is Robert the Doll, the most famous doll in Florida. I can't remember if it was on your I listened to it a couple weeks ago. With Robert the Doll, where you got to ask permission to take his picture.
Yes.
And if you don't, crappy things happen to you. And everyone who has done it have said yes. Like, if you don't believe in that, I can show you evidence, like what has happened to my life after taking a picture of that doll. So it's just no thanks, no thanks. And then Ed Gein, one of the things too. If you guys ever want to have me on as a guest, I know you guys don't really do guests, but if you do want to have me on, just really quickly, my mom's friend was the head nurse when Ed Gein was at the Mendota Mental Health Institution, and saw him every day. I mean, there's a funny, scary story that goes along with it. I've told it a billion times, but let's just say he was, even in his older age, he wasn't like that guy you just being in his room, you were just like, okay. And my mom's friend, she, like I said, she's the head nurse. She didn't take any shit from him, because he would say stuff to her, and she would be like, nope, you pull that shit, Ed, and this is it. You're out. And, because they were going to put him in jail and keep him in jail. And she always threatened that, she just didn't take his shit, because he would just look at her sometimes like he was a predator at looking at prey. And she, other nurses, nope, they're not going in there. They would actually fight with my mom's friend and be like, I am not going in there. I'm not giving his medication. I refuse. I'm going to quit. So she'd be like, all right, fine, I'll do it. Even at that advanced age, right? That he literally could not, well, I wouldn't say harm a fly, but you know what I'm saying? It was still that mindset of like, ugh, yikes, right? Scary stuff. So
we'd have to put you in contact with Dan Davies. He's making an Ed Gein the musical too about Walk Out of Mendota.
Yeah.
I love that. That's awesome. That's great. We definitely had to do with that. But it's just too. It's just. I just love the paranormals. Courtney, let me start with you. Did you have a paranormal experience before your dad's? You know, did you have anything when you were a little kid or anything like that?
More empathic. I could pick up the energy of stuff.
Mm.
I would know when something was happening. I just wouldn't know what was happening. Kind of thing.
What does that mean? Like presence in the room?
I could feel energy in the room, but like the day my grandma died, I knew something was happening. I didn't know what was happening. The energy that day was off. I knew something bad was happening, and I just could feel that kind of energy.
Yeah, that's awesome. Jen, I read in your biography here, well, I should say your little biography on your webpage, that you used to pull the covers over you when you were a little girl and everything because you would see. So explain that. I mean, that's interesting.
We call it the Virgin Mary because I grew up Catholic. So it's it's like everything is covered except, like my eyes and my mouth so I can breathe.
Yeah.
I should have covered my eyes, honestly. But I grew up in Green Bay. I grew up over near the United Casino and Airport over that area. And that is reservation land. And I would experience so many things to the point where for the longest time I thought the house we grew up in was haunted. I came to understand it wasn't the house because my siblings weren't all having the same experiences.
No.
It was me.
Wow. Oh boy. Okay.
So things were coming towards me because as mediums, we tend to be like lighthouses. We bring energy in, we bring activity in. I just didn't know that that's what I was. Funny enough, we talk about amongst Courtney and I and friends, like I came out of the mediumship closet at like the age of 40 and I'm telling my family I'm a medium and they're like, oh yeah, we knew this already about you from when you were a kid. And I'm like, what?
What? Nice.
Nobody told me.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just a lot of really frightening experiences of seeing things that nobody else saw and hearing things and being told I had an overactive imagination. That's how it was explained to me.
Yeah. So this is a spooky podcast and we love to hear creepy stories and every one of my guests has always had a creepy story. So Jen, tell me a creepy story.
Creepy story. I used to work for Heritage Hill Historical Park in Green Bay as a historical interpreter when I was in high school. Okay. And I would work there during the winter season, which was dark most of the time we were there. And I was in the hospital that is an original building at that location. And they would put me in there by myself at night.
Oh.
And how old were you at this time?
What was that?
How old were you at this time?
16. Yeah. 15, 16. Yeah. And because I was good at my job, so they would put me in there by myself. And it would get quiet at times, where there's not a lot of people coming in to talk to. And when that would happen, suddenly I'm hearing heavy boots above my head. The worst one was having, in one of the rooms, having the candles go in like domino succession, like shoot up the flame, shoot back down, then the next one, then the next one. And then having a broom that I was trying to use, I set it down and then watching that broom get moved on me. In front of my eyes by no one that was living.
Yikes.
So I'm surprised I didn't get an ulcer at an early age.
Yeah.
I was perpetually scared as a kid and a teenager.
That's a. Were you like out of the movie The Sixth Sense? I don't know if you ever saw a movie where you kept seeing "I see dead people." Was it ever as bad as that?
Yeah, actually it was.
Oh,
It was. It's just, I
man.
didn't know
Oh,
that's what I was experiencing because, just kind of like the kid in the movie, the mom's like, "You're making this up. This isn't real." That's what I kept getting told.
mm,
And I didn't realize they were telling me that to keep me from getting scared.
mm-hmm.
And they didn't realize it was actually making me more scared because I didn't understand then what was happening.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So have you, Courtney, Jen, been on paranormal investigations recently, or is that just something you do from time to time? Or
So I have a team that I've been a paranormal investigator with my husband now for the last, I think we're going on 8 years. And we've been on active investigations for a number of time. We just changed it up and we just are pulling together a new team where we have both mediums and licensed therapists on the team.
mm-hmm.
And I know it's going to sound crazy, but one of the things we've realized as we've been paranormal investigators is when you have activity happening in someone's home, it's usually them that is the fuel for it. And trauma oftentimes corresponds to paranormal activity. So we can address as mediums the paranormal aspect of it, but if we don't address the human aspect, the activity won't stop.
Yeah.
So that's why we have licensed therapists, and we also have a licensed social worker on the team.
I love that. So have you ever been on a investigation, Jen? Because I always ask this of all my paranormal investigators, where you just went into a room and you just went, okay, this is heavy. I there's something really bad in this place. We have to leave, or just I gotta get out of here.
Yeah, I mean, I've walked into a space where I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
This is not good.
Huh?
We don't run though.
Okay.
Like, that's our thing. It's always been whatever team, either the team I've been on or the team I've formed, we don't run.
There's usually a reason for it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we're very much that approach of, it's really tough. And don't get me wrong, it doesn't mean I'm not scared shitless. But I'm like refusing to run. The worst one I was on was actually an investigation out at the Monroe House in Indiana.
Right. Yeah, that's a good one. And what happened there when you were there that kind of made you feel maybe a little different?
We were getting where we could audibly start to hear voices. And we're not even talking through instruments. We're talking like literally hear them. And you're going, like you're breathing and you're trying to stay very like strong about it, but it was unnerving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And that to me is, and this is something I thought was really interesting with paranormal investigator was telling me that they had an EVP recording and they were in this one house and people died, or at least the woman of the house died from consumption. So if you know what consumption is, it's basically like, So anyway, as soon as they heard that, everyone on the team went, I can't breathe. I'm choking. I don't know what's going on. And they all had to walk out. And I was just like, wow, that's crazy. I've never heard anything like that. Has that anything happened to you, Jen, where you maybe heard an EVP recording and it said something like "get out" or "kill her," and you're like, "Yep, I'm out."
I will tell you, paranormal investigating, I've run into some things where, like you listen back and you're like, oh, that sounds really ominous.
Yeah.
And we've had to take breaks. The hardest ones, though, is actually not so much when I'm investigating, but when I'm working as a medium and the spirit communicator is not the nicest person.
Yeah.
And they are trying to relay information, and so they're making you feel like you're either drunk or you're having a heart attack or a stroke. Or all those things can happen as a medium, and those are the moments where you can't walk away, and you're like, just give me a second here.
Right.
Feel like
And
I'm
then you just,
dying.
yeah. And do you actually feel that physical, like you're dying or can't breathe or whatever, like that actual physical man's? Oh wow.
There was a couple of spirits that were screwing with you that one time where you were drunk and thought you were having a heart attack.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. That's crazy to me. Now, one thing I always like to ask the lady investigators here, and I do this with most respect, is most investigations you're going into, let's just say the males of the household were maybe not that nice to their wives or their mistresses.
Yeah.
You know, my mistresses who have done stuff. Have you ever gone in a house and, you know, felt like this, somebody grab you or try to choke you or something like that? Boy, we're loving on that.
I've been grabbed. I've been pushed. I've been scratched. I've been choked. But here's the thing: I've got my size because I'm a 6 foot tall female.
Oh, yeah.
So
give them 1, 2. I got you.
I don't. I'm kind of that I don't put up with your shit kind of person when it comes to investigating. So I know that it's not going to last forever because the scientific part of me is going, you're using every ounce of energy you possibly can right now to do this to me. And I know you're not going to be able to keep that going for long.
And it doesn't always have to be the men. There's some crazy psycho dead women out there too.
Yeah.
Tell me about it. Courtney, do you go on these investigations or?
I do not go on the investigations. I've gone on the house cleansings, and there's some crazy psycho women on house cleansings.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. And then the fun question, number 2 question is: have you ever been with a ghost that's been how do I say, a little handsy? Maybe, they were in the past life, whatever they were, a little bit of womanizer and got a little handsy with you.
Sure.
Well, your husband's on the team, so I don't know if your husband steps in and just like, hey.
No, oh God, no. My husband would be like, she's all yours.
Whatever.
Like, once I'm sleeping, it is what it is.
I'm done. We've had a good run. You take her. Whatever. Come on.
I mean, we've
yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, we've had it where, that does happen, where you have been like inappropriately touched, which is really off-putting.
Yeah, I bet.
But I've had that happen. The worst, honestly, that I've had happen is a spirit step into my body.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
This is why I don't do the investigations.
It's happened twice.
I guess not, Courtney. You're the smart one. How did that feel?
It felt awful. The one time I was doing a house cleansing, and I don't even fully know what I had stepped into me, but it did, and I was instantly ill. Like I had vertigo. I thought I was going to start vomiting. I could tell that I didn't feel like I had as much control over myself as I normally would. Yeah. And I had to sit down, which I was like trying not to worry the homeowner, because the homeowner was there while this was happening. And I'm like, I think I'm just a little just feeling a little bit off right now. I'm just going to sit down for a touch, see how it goes. Then all I'm doing there is using my own energy to push this thing back out because it was awful.
Bitch, you're not welcome. Get out.
Yeah. Do you, Courtney, I think you're kind of be caught in the crossfire here. Have you ever been around Jen and then she just kind of, maybe something spirits got to you and you're like, man, you know what I mean? Like a cold, kind of like, Jen's sick and she gives you a cold and you're like, thanks a lot, Jen. Maybe she gave you a spirit. Has that ever happened to you? Like you got home, Courtney, and it was like, there's something happened. Oh,
yes.
I got to hear it.
Not 100% it came from Jen. We're kind of debating if it's from Jen or the ex-husband, the elemental. that
elemental
showed up at my home and was causing havoc because it was not happy in my home for a while.
Yeah.
Like to start things on fire and turn up my heat here and there. And but every time I was at Jen's, I'd come home and there would be like little outbursts here and there. So it was like,
thanks a lot, Jen.
But every time I leave Jen's house, it's always, you must stay here. You are not welcome to come with me. You live here.
Yeah.
I'm leaving now because Jen's got spirits that live at her house because she's got an old haunted ass house. Yeah. They have to stay there.
Yeah.
They don't get to come home with me.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, obviously. That's what I was going to say, Jen, is talking to different paranormal investigators. I don't know if you do this, but what they typically say before they leave a place is they say, thank you. You know, we really enjoyed it here, you know, but you can't come home with me. You have to stay here. You say something like that, or yeah, right. You say something like that, or you just kind of like, yeah, whatever happens, happens.
No. Yeah, whatever happens, happens kind of person, I promise them. Our goal when we are investigating now is to try and help resolve the paranormal activity and move spirits on if possible. So if we still have spirits that are lingering, it is always a thank you. Thank you for letting us work with you. This is where you belong. You don't need to follow us. But sometimes it doesn't work.
The goal is not to have an attachment.
Right. Yeah. It doesn't always work.
Yeah. And it doesn't work, meaning like, I don't know, you come home and you can sense a presence, like their footsteps or whatever you're hearing, around the house.
Or, so I have kind of a unique situation with being an investigator and being a medium, and living in a house that's 134 years old that's haunted. Yeah. So I have a spirit in my house who we call the bouncer, but it's a 50-year-old woman who passed away here.
Okay.
And usually if I bring something home, I get a message from her like, what did you do? Like, who is this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the bouncer, like, she bounces or she bounces? Wow. Okay.
She'll move spirits on that don't belong here.
Oh, I've never heard that
stuff
before.
Around the property so that most can't get in as much as possible. So
yeah. Wow. So with a haunted house, because I've talked to so many people who have haunted houses. Yeah, I even though I love the paranormal, no, thank you. I just couldn't deal with it. But some people I talk to, they're like, it doesn't happen every day. Like it might go 6 months, nothing, and then a whole bunch of stuff. And then, is that true? Kind of like your house?
Yes. So we, when we first moved in, and they were getting to know us, the spirits, they woke us up one night. We could hear like our piano being played. We could hear people downstairs chatting. And my husband was like, okay, enough's enough. And he just shouts, shut the hell up. I have to go to work in the morning. And that was it. It went stone quiet. And we've not had that issue since. It was like they needed to know our boundaries. And now what happens is when we kind of violate their boundaries. So when we're doing, if we're doing construction on the house or doing something where we have to open up a wall or whatever it might be, then it's like, okay, we're violating their boundaries. They let us know when they're not happy.
Yeah. And through what? Moving tools, maybe noises, knocking.
We will get, we have 3 dogs in the house because we actually have a hobby farm. So we have 3 dogs in our house, and they don't ever torture our dogs. They're always, they're either playing with them or they're leaving them alone.
Nice.
But we'll notice that the dogs are getting, noticing things more and pointing out things. They'll hide things on me when they get annoyed with me, and my spirits will. They've hidden, like I hurt my knee and I was using a cane and those assholes hid it from me one time.
What?
A whole room away.
A lot. Oh.
I was like, are you kidding me?
Nice.
But we were doing something to the house at that time, and they were like, yeah, see how you like this.
Yeah. Oh, that thanks a lot.
Or
Yeah.
if there's too many parties out there, they get a little antsy about that.
Yeah.
And especially maybe you said you're a Badger fan and somewhat Packer fan. When football season starts up and maybe you have like a bunch of people over to watch the game or whatever, I'm sure they're really like, oh man, this is gonna be a long night with these jerks. I gotta do something.
They make the room super cold, right, Courtney?
Oh my God. Like, it's not cold. It's like morgue cold.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
There's like 15, 20 people in there. You could be super hot and it's morgue cold. Only on this side. That side's fine.
Fine, yeah. That's crazy. So what do you both do when you get a diehard denier who says, ghosts don't exist, you guys are making it up, this is a joke, stop, what do you say to that person or persons maybe?
That's my boss. That, you know what, that is your belief, that's on you, bro.
So you just like accept
I'm not gonna argue it, because what am I going to argue?
That's true.
I can't give you any proof that you are going to believe.
Yeah. Go
Same
ahead.
for me. I don't ever try to convince anybody. I'm like, you know what? You'll figure it out if you need to.
Yeah. I don't know. I think every time I've asked this question to people, they've always and I'm sure you give me the same answer. What if tomorrow science came forward and said, yep, there are spirits. This is definitive proof, scientific proof. Here you go. There still would be people saying, I don't know.
But science is coming forth with it.
Yeah.
There has been science studies.
That's true.
And they still are arguing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, again, part of the reason I've done this podcast, and I'm sure both of you doing your podcast as well as, doing your medium work and stuff, is to kind of take away the stigma that's attached to this, that people, who have seen it, and I'm convinced you can convince me otherwise. There's probably thousands upon thousands of stories out there that people have come forward with because they're like, I'm not going to say anything. They think I'm crazy. I'm not, you know what I mean? Right?
That is why we started our coffee hour, is so that people had a safe place to discuss their crazy, weird, woohoo stories.
Yeah. Absolutely.
This way they had a safe place.
Yeah. The only problem I have with one of your episodes is black-eyed children. I'll buy it. Come on. Someone, like the first thing I would do, Jen and Courtney, I'd knock on the door. There's two black-eyed children out there. I'd run and get my phone. I'd be like, ha ha ha, I got you. And I wouldn't let them in, but maybe I would let them in. My kids are kind of annoying. Like, you play with my kids. And I'd be like, ha 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 ha, I got it. And I'd be like, making faces at them and stuff through the glass. But, who knows? Maybe I'll let them in. I don't buy that, because don't you think somebody would be like, just pick up their phone and be like, because I've heard stories where people have been in their cars, right? I can't remember if that was one of your stories, but people have been in their cars, and then like a couple kids come up to the window and they start like, let me in, or we need help, and people have been like, okay. And then the one story that you had was with the people who did let the kids in, was kind of like, okay, this is not good. But the reason I'm sorry, I'm just not buying that. Maybe I will if I see one, but I'm not saying I don't totally not believe in it. It's just kind of hard to believe in that. But let me ask you this. Do you think they're aliens? Do you think they're demons?
Good question.
Yeah, Jen, what is it you think?
I personally think they're probably more connected to like alien, because I'm not a big believer in the demonic. I believe in evil, but I have a really hard time when people are like, it's demonic. And I'm like, it's evil. Yeah, I'll agree with you on that end. And I do, honestly, I'm with you there, John, because I'm like, we did that episode, and for some people, it was creepy as hell. I've had a lot of
Oh, it is.
comments on that episode, but I don't know if I believe in them fully or not.
I don't know.
It's hard for me too, because I agree with you. It's like, well, where's the proof? But the one thing I do remember is in doing the research on it, people felt like not of themselves. So
Yeah.
like they were reacting in ways that wasn't their normal reaction, almost as if it was like mind control, which makes me kind of go towards that alien aspect of it.
And then that begs the question for both of you. What do they want? Do they want to abduct someone? Do they want to possess someone? Do they want to what's I don't understand. That's part of why I don't believe it. Like you gotta I don't know. Help me out.
The only thing I got out of that was they wanted mind control of some sort. For
right,
what?
but for
Never
what
knew.
for?
That's why I always went with the alien part of it. But
for
what?
For?
I don't know.
Like go down to the bank and get them a bunch of money, or like I don't.
Then they'll never be showing up at my house. I'm good.
Courtney's just gonna open the door. Look, you just might as well leave. This mind control thing. I got no money. You might as well just go.
Right. Try again.
You see their poor little heads walk away.
Handing them her debt, going, here, you want to pay
it? Right. Here's the pile of bills. Have at it.
Have at it. There you go. Stop, lady. Stop. And they leave. Now get that on recording. That would be worth a lot of money.
By the way, here's my kid's debt for college too.
Hey, there you go. Stop! Do you stop? Yeah, I don't know. I just get a feeling that, and it's not a lot, right? It's not. You hear a lot of it, correct? You don't hear the stories where UFOs is pretty much every day. Ghosts is pretty much every day. No, I don't know. I just really quickly, one of the things with that too, because I'm going to do an episode on it anyway, because I want to have some fun with it. I think part of the reason too is, do you think, again, it happens in different countries and stuff like that, and it's not like one section where I don't know. I'm just trying to figure out when I do research on this, because like I said, I'm going to do it. One of the things I want to figure out, maybe it's near, like, as you both know, water and like electrical storms tend to bring energy from ghosts. Not all the time. But there's Galena, Illinois, another one of you would ever want to take out. That is one of the most haunted towns in the Midwest. And if you go to there, it's a beautiful little town. It's one of those, okay, my girlfriends are going to go there and have a little party. Or, maybe I'll bring someone I love with me, whatever, and go out there because it's like it's stuck in a time like, I don't know, warp or something, like a lot of older buildings, but it's extremely haunted because they have they have running water underneath this like limestone cave. And a lot of people claim that in this town, the ghosts or spirits get their energy from that. And you see a lot of that, right? With a ghost story or something. Is that true, Jen? You think within which your medium and stuff do?
Well, one of the things that I know you're familiar with is that the idea of stone tape theory, the idea that stone can hold in the energy and replay. We know, living in Wisconsin, we're a really paranormally active state because we have so much water and limestone and granite in this state.
Yes.
So I think when we look at locations, even when I'm doing house cleansings, I do research on the land as much as I can, which isn't always easy to do. But one of the things we do tend to find is that water and stone are the two things I'm looking for because they're so heavily influential in paranormal activity. I mean, if we look at, for example, like Door County and the amount of paranormal activity that goes on in Door County is quite high. Well, it's all stone. There's limestone like mad up there. And then it's surrounded by either the Bay or the Great Lakes. Lake Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there absolutely is something to do with that. Familiar with Galena. I know it's a cute, very popular touristy
Yeah,
town.
very
My
touristy.
siblings have been there.
Yes. There you go.
But yeah, some of the houses that I've encountered that are the most paranormally active are the ones that have like that natural aquifer that runs
Mm-hmm.
under them.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
And yeah.
Yeah, and that to me is really amazing. Now we're not gonna get to our topic, which that's fine. I'll have you ladies back on again. That's no problem because I'm having a blast here. I hope you're having fun too.
Absolutely.
So one of the things, though, I'm just looking at your topics here. One of the thing is hilarious to me is you're familiar with the Ridgeway ghost. Are you familiar with that at all?
Oh,
Because that's a
you'll have
topic
to,
for you.
yeah, we might have to do that.
Okay, so the Ridgeway ghost definitely this you got to do. So if you go past Ridgeway, Ridgeway is a little town outside of Platteville. It's near me, so
Okay.
it's not. It's about 3 hours away, probably from Green Bay or wherever your area is.
Yeah.
And they embraced it so much that on their water tower is a ghost. So you will see a little ghost like fleeing. It's crazy. Go look it up, Google it. You can see it. But the Ridgeway ghost is a great topic because Ridgeway is about a town of 1,000 people, maybe over 1,000, something like that. Not too much. But anyway, they got more bars than churches. Let's put it that way.
Like us.
There you go.
Yeah.
And anyway, there's this Ridgeway ghost that they actually celebrate. In June, they have like a little celebration and enjoy. And if you read about it, the ghost supposedly was in the 1800s. It scared someone to death. Like one of those where you might read a story where someone saw the ghost and they immediately turn white and die. And the ghost turns into all these different shapes and forms. And these just crazy stories. It's a great story that you guys I would give you another topic to cover if you want, and I like I said, I always love to be a guest, so if you guys ever want to have me on, we talk about that. But one of the things is with that too is that a town just embraced it. Like they didn't go yeah, Rick, okay. No, they were like, cool, we got a ghost and it's here, let's go with it. Have you ever heard of that before? I have not.
No, that's rare.
Right? It's absolutely rare.
Midwestern ethics is sweep it under the rug and pretend it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Absolutely. And then you did the vampire. I don't know. Have you heard about the Mineral Point vampire?
Yes.
Okay. So that's my favorite because if there's a vampire in Mineral Point, I mean, I'm sorry, but I feel sorry for that vampire because what could you do? Like, what are you doing? Like, it's a small, like, I don't know. Like, I don't know. The True Blood was the series on HBO. If you watch that, it was a small town. They were all a bunch of vampires and they had werewolves and stuff. And kind of people knew it. And they were like, okay, I'm going with it. And it's really funny because it sounds like a bunch of drunk people dressed up as vampires and just pissed off the cops one night because they haven't really seen it. But again, if there's a vampire there, please call into the show, even though I don't have a call-in number. I don't care. Email me, vampire, because I got to see this. Yeah, right. Give me a call. Give me a call on the phone. Hello, vampire. Yeah, I just things like that I think are amazing. Now, I don't believe there is a Mineral Point vampire because, again, it sounds like a bunch of drunk guys. If you're familiar with the story at all, so...
I think one of the coolest things when we record, because we record in my office, which I'm sitting in right now in my home, Cortney, and this reminded me of it because you brought up the Vampires podcast. So when we do the copious amounts of editing that I know you also have to work with, we catch EVPs on our podcast.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So when we did the Ed Gein podcast, and Courtney is like, I wonder if he used that big pot to also cook his chili, or to cook his victims in, as well as his chili. We got a very, very specific response to that from a male voice.
Really?
Yes.
Is it on the episode? Because I listened to that episode.
Did I leave it on?
Yes,
It's
you
hard to
left
hear.
it in there
You
because
did?
I was actually able to hear it.
What point? I gotta listen again. I must have missed it.
There's a definite no. Like I don't usually hear the EVPs. Well, lately I've been picking them up, but I could actually. It was no.
It's fast. Yeah.
Really?
No.
Yeah. Which is funny
I gotta
because the Ed
re-listen.
Gein one was hard for Jen to edit because we had a live guest, which we've never done a live guest before.
Mhm.
And there were so many issues with that one. Like he did not want us to do that one.
But our vampire one, we also got an EVP on because one of the
Really?
we talk about some of the silliness of vampire lore, and one of the things in Romania was vampire pumpkins.
Mm-hmm.
They worry about pumpkins turning into vampires. So we picked up an EVP that went, vampire pumpkins?
Yeah.
Like somebody was listening to us and was like, I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
I was like, don't worry, we didn't believe it either.
Yeah, right? That's crazy. I gotta re-listen. That's nuts. I gotta check my headphones or re-listen. That's crazy. Speaking of that, one of my dreams is on my bucket list to go to Transylvania. If you know anything about Transylvania, look at it's all Hollywood with all the mist and it's actually gorgeous. It's absolutely gorgeous. Because not a lot of people go there. They don't have a great infrastructure. When I was reading about it, they were like, it's kind of hard sometimes to get internet. Sometimes it's hard to, you might be on this cobblestone road. You might be driving on a road where you're like, is this safe? Things like that. But it's absolutely gorgeous, and I would love to go there sometime. That's so funny. And what I love about you guys' podcast too, you have such a variety of topics. One of the things I want to, before we wrap up here, I do want to talk about park vanishings. Are you as enthralled in that as I am? I'm just like, what's going on with parks? Like, right?
I blame Teddy Roosevelt for that.
Okay, Teddy. I want to hear this one. All right, Courtney. I want to hear you on that one.
He just was like, you know what? We're just going to hide everything. Everything's a park, so we can hide it all.
Yeah,
the Smithsonian.
Yeah. So do you think it's a combination of aliens and cryptids causing these disappearances? Because I just did 3 or 4 episodes ago, did one about this kid disappearing, and someone saw him being dragged by what they saw was a giant man and stuff. This is back in the 50s and 60s. And they still
I was going to say the Venetian blinds didn't work because they saw the man.
Yeah. Right. No, this is back in the 50s and 60s where these parents were watching their kid and then all of a sudden just disappeared, just gone. And then people saw later when they were tracking, saw what looked like a giant carrying this kid.
So was there a berry bush near? And was a shoe left behind?
I don't think so. Either recheck my notes and I'll get back to you.
We had to split it into 2 episodes. So we did the national parks and our podcast because if you layer, we sometimes get a little conspiracy theorist sounding.
Love it.
And go down the rabbit hole.
Love it.
But if you take a map of the cave system in the U.S. and then take a map of the national park system and lay them over each other.
I'm with you.
And you start to look at them. You're going to see that all of those cave systems, most of them come out into one of our national parks.
Yeah.
And the cave systems are connected to Canada and Mexico. They're all connected.
Yeah.
Yes. I hear you. I love a good conspiracy. I can't get enough of it. One thing I want to do later is Skinwalker Ranch. That is a heavy one, very heavy, because some of the proof they have found, even if people go put on your tinfoil hat, whatever, right?
Skinwalker Ranch.
No. It's crazy. It is crazy what they have found.
Yes.
That they're not releasing and have leaked out, whatever you want to say, that you're like, man, that's heavy. That is something weird going on there, and you can't dispute it, right? Am I right on that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, it's just we came to the understanding that a lot of the national park system, if you look at the sightings of Bigfoot or UFOs or
Mhm.
other cryptids,
Mhm.
there's so much that happens in those national parks, and people always ask, well, where can these things hide? And then you look at that fact that there's usually cave systems in those parks that people don't even realize are there. And it just starts to kind of pull together. It's creepy. It's almost as if
Yeah.
our government knows, and
Oh,
they're doing something to kind of hide it.
and the cave systems are so large, you can't map those. They are not all known. There's no way. Plus, then you've got the underground cities that are supposedly there.
Ooh.
Wink, wink.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
That is amazing. See, I personally want to find one of those with a bunch of Amazon women, and they make me their king. That's just that's a whole different podcast, though. I don't get into that. That's a little too weird for this one. But yeah, seriously, it's crazy, and I know a lot of people who have gone down there and have tried to explore. Have told some pretty interesting stories of what they've heard, or whatever you want to say. And yeah, I totally agree with that. And the government, but I do give the government credit on one thing, is they have come out and basically have said UFOs exist. And everybody, but everybody's kind of going like, okay. Yeah, I mean, you're right. Like nobody's freaking out. Like nobody's like, "Oh my God, there's gonna be," whatever.
Well,
right?
most people should be like, "No shit."
Right? Yeah. Why didn't you tell me that before? Like, what do you think we're stupid? You're like, we're the only ones here. Like, I don't get that. So, boy, I could talk to you guys for hours. This has been a blast. I've had a ton of fun. Like I said, we didn't even get into our topic, which is a haunted lighthouse. I gotta have you guys back on. Promise me you'll come back on, okay?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Absolutely.
So, because I'll just make you, I'll bribe you. Anyway, so one of the things, though, before I wrap up here, Jen, I want to ask you a question here. You have something about shadow work. What is that? I'm just curious about that.
So I wrote up my background in education. I decided to write up courses that people could do one-on-one with me. And I have 3 courses that are part of a shadow work series. And shadow work is that part of yourself that we don't want to touch, we don't want to look at. It's where we're vulnerable and where we prefer to shove it under the rug. And the problem with that is most of our patterns that we repeat, that we don't like, that are self-destructive, things like that happen because of that shadow place. And so understanding it and coming to terms with it is part of what I do. I always preface, I'm not a counselor, I'm not a therapist. So I don't think I am, but when I do these courses with people, they meet with me several times. The most would be like 8 times. And at the end of each of those times, I do a short reading for them to help them move forward from what they've learned about themselves. And it's really powerful. I will admit, I actually just recently stated that I'm putting it on pause for right now because I'm about to head into a new master's degree in thanatology, which is the study of death and dying.
Ooh. Okay, that's not heavy at all. All right.
No, not at all. It makes sense for someone like me, but yeah.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So tell me, what do you guys got? Let's start with the podcast. Got any neat things coming up? Any topics you guys are thinking about?
Hit it, Courtney.
We're doing UFOs next.
Nice.
I think that was in the States, though, right? That was just in the States.
I think we're going to focus on some UFO hotspots, including some within the Midwest and specifically in Wisconsin, too.
Yes. And go ahead.
Oh, no. So what's interesting about ours is we didn't intend to ever start a podcast. We did this as a live group come together and talk.
Mm-hmm.
And then we kept getting people saying, oh, I missed it. I wish I could hear what you guys talked about.
Yeah, right.
So then when we put it in about a year after we started it, we put it in the podcast version. So we still do a live. We still have people come. And one of the ones we're going to be doing in, I think it's September, is Possessed Pets.
Yep.
Nice.
I was
looking forward
to that one. And then all of a sudden I found out it was Adopt a Pet Month. And I'm like, all right, fine. We'll do it.
Perfect. Adopt a possessed pet.
Yeah.
I love it.
I was like, fine, sign me up.
Yeah, sign you up. That's awesome. That sounds great. So, Jen, though, let me ask you, for my spooky friends, let's say somebody wants to get a hold of you. They're, I don't know, having some issues with their home, or maybe they're having issues with their personal life or something like that. How do they get a hold of you? How do they reach out to you? What's the best way?
Best way is to find my website or my Facebook page. So my Facebook page is just Jen's with 2 N's, Illuminated Path, or using the same words, jensilluminatedpath.com. And they can go right on my website.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Where else can they find you guys? On YouTube, Instagram? Where else we can find you?
We keep a low profile, honestly.
Okay.
So you can find our podcast on all of the podcast itself on all of the platforms like Apple and Spotify, places like that. And when Stitcher was there, it was there too. We don't do visual recordings of our podcast, though sometimes I think we should, because it's probably freaking hilarious.
Yeah. We can see Courtney's smiling face, and every time she's laughing. And you, Jen, too, so you're having a good fun time here.
She's usually being inappropriate, so...
No.
And I'm usually rolling my eyes.
She's not wrong.
Yeah.
There's a lot of editing.
I got to edit up my eye rolling this, too. I know what you mean.
Yeah. But, I mean, we have a Facebook page, Paranormal Coffee Hour on Facebook, and that is probably the number one place to go to find us and to communicate with us. We also have paranormalcoffeehour@gmail.com if people really want to email in, though I don't know if we've ever really gotten much for email.
I was going to say, we have a Gmail.
We do.
We do? But
we
check that, Courtney. You probably have all these messages.
I
didn't know that. Some poor guy is like, help me. What a bunch of jerks.
That's where all of our things went. Everyone's been like, yeah, we let you know what we think all the time.
Well, there you go.
My bad.
Courtney, you have something to do tonight. It's a long Memorial Day weekend. Going to the Gmail.
Hey, thought I was going to be painting. I lied.
No, not anymore. There you go.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, again, this has been a blast. I had so much fun. Like I said, I got to have you back on. We didn't get to the topic, but that's awesome. And one of the things, too, is I always tell my spooky friends, I'll have all your information out there so they can go and reach out to you, Jen. Courtney, they will send a Gmail to. I'll make sure to do that.
Right.
Yeah, we'll have it going there. Yes. And like I said, I'll have you guys back on because this was a blast. And I've already taken so much of your time. I really appreciate it. So
thank you. We appreciate you having us. Come on.
Yeah. And we end every podcast by say hi to your ghost. So hello, ghost. Because Jen, well, obviously you got a ghost.
Yeah.
Courtney, they're probably
better not be here.
And then we say stay spooky. All right. Love you guys. Have a great one.
Thank you.
Talk to you later.
John.
Bye bye.